We do have a new storm report from Plymouth in Jefferson County, and that is a thunderstorm wind gust of 59 miles per hour measured from a private weather station. So I just want to take a wider look about what's happening as well. We've got something called an MCS, or a line of storms or complex of storms moving through portions of now eastern, south central Nebraska, south central Nebraska, moving generally towards the east-southeast. The front half of this is packing a lot of lightning, still seeing some lightning behind the bulk of this storm towards the Tri-City area as well, but overall we are continuing to see this move towards southeastern Nebraska at this time. Our Lincoln sky view is showing some dark skies off to our, this is pointed to our west at this time, but still a lot of cloud cover out there for most of us in portions of Lancaster County. I know when I was driving here this morning, still a lot of cloud cover, but quiet conditions as those storms were still off to our west around 5, 6 o'clock this morning. So seeing a little bit of dark skies on the horizon. I'm hearing some thunder inside the 1011 studio, so I assume also hearing that thunder out there, as well as maybe seeing some lightning off to the distance. Did want to check in with our wind speeds as we are seeing that, so potential gusts up to 60, 70 miles per hour. So across the state, this is sustained winds around 20, 30 miles by the Tri-Cities area. York around 30 miles per hour. We're around 18 miles per hour in the capital city. And if we take a look at our wind gusts as well, gusting up to 30 to around 40 miles per hour in portions of where we're seeing that storm move through towards the York-Hebron area at this time. Our precipitation we've seen so far today, this has been packing generally some heavy rainfall. We have seen some areas being issued aerial flood advisories or area flood alerts, and that is for portions of south central Nebraska. However, we can see kind of a wide swath of anywhere between a quarter to just under 2 inches of rain that we have seen at our ASOS stations around the state. So locally, heavier rainfall amounts are possible, but over 1.5 inches in York has fallen so far, just under 2 inches in the Ord area, just under 1 inch in Thedford, and over 1.25 inches in Valentine. So this system is going to bring some heavy rainfall, thunder, lightning, strong winds between 60, 70 miles per hour. We have seen observed 70 mile per hour winds for the Lincoln, Lancaster County severe thunderstorm warned area. We also have an updated Storm Prediction Center outlook, and that is slight to enhanced for portions of eastern Nebraska due to this complex moving through the area at this time. A larger picture as well, we have seen some updates to this severe thunderstorm watch. That continues until 11 a.m. for the bulk of the area. This includes the Tri-Cities, and then Lincoln, Columbus, portions of Beatrice, Gage County, and then far eastern Nebraska, Oto, areas in Falls City, towards the very east along the border. That will continue until 2 p.m. this afternoon. As we head back to our radar to take a look at our larger picture of this, we see a line cluster of storms moving through portions of the very fringe of central Nebraska, as we are still seeing some activity in the Tri-Cities area for south central areas, but we are seeing this continue to move to the east into portions of eastern Nebraska this morning. This storm system bringing lots of lightning, some damaging winds. We haven't seen many reports of hail this morning. However, hail for these storm threats for our Gage, Jefferson, Lancaster, Saline County severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 9 a.m. 70 mile per hour winds and penny-sized hail. As for the severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30, that includes Butler, Jefferson, Saline, and Seward. That is for 70 mile per hour winds and quarter-sized hail. This complex of storms, line of storms moving anywhere between 30 to 45 miles per hour at this time. Both warnings are between 30 to 45 miles per hour. This storm is packing a lot of lightning, as we can see, heavy rainfall as well, thunder, and seeing that winds, as well as the possibility for some radar indicated hail. we are continuing to see this move to the east at 30 to 45 miles per hour. I will do an updated storm track, as most of this storm, I will say at this time, is starting to kind of take more of a, we're starting to see the kind of like heavier rainfall start to move a little bit more ahead. So not seeing quite a straight line of this heavy rainfall anymore, kind of more of a bowing, as what we call it, more of a bowing, which is kind of like just like an arch, moving into portions of eastern Nebraska, southeastern Nebraska. So let's put a storm tracker on this as we see most of this heavy rainfall. Firth is about to get in on that as well. Beatrice is moving into the area, and it looks like we have a continuation of that severe thunderstorm warning from the Seward, Jefferson, Saline, and Butler County. As we have seen most of that storm move out of the area, we've kind of made some, the National Weather Service, I should say, has made some changes to that. So the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for portions of Butler County, but continues for Jefferson, Saline, and Seward County until 8:30. Still seeing observed 70-mile-per-hour winds with this, and then quarter-sized hail, which has been radar indicated. So we do have that, and we also have that severe thunderstorm warning that includes Lancaster, Jefferson, Seward, Otoe, Saline, Pawnee, portions of Gage County, and Cass County, and that continues until 9 a.m. this morning. For also 70-mile-per-hour observed winds and the potential for penny-sized hail. I was going to put a storm track on this. Let me go back 1 second. There we go. And let's get this storm track going. I've been pushing this around 40 miles per hour, as this is between 30 to 45 miles per hour. So it'll be around Hickman as we head into the next 5 minutes or so. 8:45, Douglas moving into Syracuse just after 9 o'clock, around 9 o'clock. So we will continue to see this move to the east, packing lots of lightning, that wind threat, as well as that threat for hail. Still seeing lots of lightning with the storm as we take more of a wider look at this as it continues to move to the east around 30 to 40 miles per hour. I do want to see if we have updated the speed for the storm off into portions of Jefferson, Saline, and Seward. Just give me 1 second here while I read some information. Still have it moving east at 30 miles per hour, so I think maybe portions of that storm off to northern areas, moving maybe a little bit slower and then a little bit quicker as we see more with that bowing segment, as I mentioned earlier. Could be moving a little bit quicker on the southern half of that storm. Take another wider look at what's going on. Got a cluster or a line of strong to severe storms moving through or towards, I should say, eastern Nebraska, as it has mostly moved out of central areas at this time. Seeing some heavy rainfall, lightning still hanging back in the Tri-Cities area, but most of that heading into portions of eastern Nebraska. Here in the capital city, we have seen a lot of cloud cover this morning. I've been hearing a little bit of thunder in the 1011 studio as well. And seeing more darker skies on our horizon. And now if we look past a little bit past the capital, this is looking to our west. So the storm's off to our west. This is the dark sky that we're seeing. I haven't seen any lightning yet on our Lincoln Skyview, but I can assure you it's happening if I'm hearing some thunder. Taking a look at our wind speeds at this time, still around 25 to 30 miles per hour sustained. Kind of on the back half of the system, as we are seeing 24-mile-per-hour winds in Grand Island, 28 miles per hour in Hastings. So I think sustained winds at this time will continue to pick up as it moves, as the storm moves to the east. Wind gusts are still in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, but kind of still on the back half of that system. Oh, we are seeing gusts up to 68 miles in Beatrice. We just got that in at 8:22. Our Beatrice Airport, or the municipal airport, the ASAW station reports a gust of 59 knots, which is not miles per hour, so we are looking at around 68 miles per hour for the Beatrice Airport. So still seeing that confirmed wind gusts for our warned storms that are around 70 mile per hour winds observed. So we are going to be seeing very strong winds with this line of storms moving through the area. Also going to see heavy rainfall. We have seen this system move through much of the 10-11 region through the early morning hours until now. And we have seen anywhere from a quarter to just under 2 inches of rainfall from our ASOS stations that we have from across the state. So this is not going to mean that your specific place has gotten that much. However, locally heavier rainfall amounts is possible, and it does look like in the heavier yellow and the darker red that we have seen heavier rainfall from the around 2 inches that ORD has seen over the last several hours. I mentioned the Storm Prediction Center outlook a little bit earlier. It was a marginal risk, has been upgraded to slight and enhanced for southeastern Nebraska, and that's due to this complex moving through the area. We also have seen a tornado warning for the Fillmore and I think Jefferson County areas this morning over the last around 7:15 to around the 8 o'clock hours when that occurred. So we can't exactly rule out a spin up with this system, I will say. So we are going to be keeping a close eye on that as well. Severe thunderstorm watch continues until 11 this morning for portions of the Tri-Cities, for south central Nebraska, as well as eastern areas. I will say for far eastern areas along the border, that has been added over the last hour. That severe thunderstorm watch will go until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now I'm going to take us back to our wide satellite and radar, and I am going to take a quick drink, so I apologize. Okay. We've got a cluster to line of storms or storm complex moving through portions of central and eastern Nebraska. If you are just joining us right now, I have broken into the programming due to the severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of Lincoln, Lancaster County, Gage County, Seward, Saline, Jefferson at this time. And we're going to take a closer look at that, but I do want to give a wider view about what's happening as we do have this cluster complex of storms, kind of seeing more in the southern half of the storm system towards southeastern Nebraska, taking more of a line bowing activity at this time. Taking a closer look at our actual warnings at this time. Severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson, Saline, Seward County, that goes until 8:30. I suspect we're about 4 minutes from that time. Maybe get trimmed off from this severe thunderstorm warning as this continues to move into the next warned area, which is Gage, Johnson, Lancaster, Saline, Jefferson, Otto, Pawnee, Gage, and then portions of Cass County as well. So this goes until 9 o'clock this morning. 70 mile per hour observed winds and penny-sized hail with this storm. This complex is moving east between 30 to 45 miles per hour, and we will continue to see this move to the east into portions of Nebraska City, Pawnee City, Auburn, Falls City as we head through the morning hours, as well as they are also under a severe thunderstorm watch till later this afternoon until 2 o'clock. Much of the area until 11 o'clock this morning, a little bit later in the day for portions of eastern Nebraska along the border. We have seen reports of 68 mile per hour winds to 70 mile per hour winds across portions of southeastern Nebraska. We saw a thunderstorm wind gust of 68 miles per hour at the around 2 miles north of Beatrice in Gage County. I think that was also the one that I had mentioned earlier that was at the municipal airport. Just in a 2, they will be expiring the severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson, Saline, and Seward counties for that little sliver of the warning that is occurring on the back half of this line of storms at this time. So that'll be done in the next 2 minutes, and then we will have the lone severe thunderstorm warning for Lancaster, Jefferson, Seward, Otoe, Saline, Pawnee, and Gage counties. Still seeing really heavy rainfall with this line of storms, lots of lightning as well. So we are seeing those damaging winds, 65 to 70 miles per hour confirmed at this time. So very strong wind gusts. Make sure you're away from any windows. And, you know, if you hear thunder, lightning, if you are outside, we're going to do things outside. Maybe if you're about to grab something inside, grab something outside and move it inside, I would make it very quick. So seeing that heavier amount of rainfall kind of stretching back towards York, down to the Odell area. Heaviest rain, heaviest pocket, looks like it's just north of Beatrice. Heavier swath of rainfall, though, from the Seward to the Firth area. We just got a new report in for Gage County. Again, this is 2 miles north of Blue Springs. And I just dropped something. Hold on, I gotta pick it up. Blue Springs, and that is for 66 mile per hour winds, measured gust at a private weather station around 8:19. So still seeing those confirmed winds of 65 to 70 miles per hour with this complex line of storms. So seeing damaging winds with this. Lots of lightning as well, as I have mentioned earlier. Seeing this storm continue to move east at around 45 miles per hour, maybe a little bit slower on the northern half of the storm, moving towards the York area, around 30 miles per hour. That's what I suspect at this time. And it looks like the warning for portions of Saline, Seward, and Jefferson, just on the fringe, has expired at 8:30. So we still have that severe thunderstorm warning that includes Gage, Johnson, Lancaster, Lincoln, Saline, Pawnee, Gage, and Cass counties. That continues until 9 o'clock this morning, so about 30 more minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning. For Lincoln, haven't seen that heavy rain start yet, but we are starting to see some lightning on the horizon. If we take a closer look, we are starting to get some lightning moving in to places near, looks like the airport, if I would take an educated guess on the location on the map. But heavier rainfall is seeing the most lightning. If we take a closer look in the red areas where we are seeing the heaviest rainfall, also seeing the most lightning. So we are still seeing those observed winds between 65 and 70 miles per hour. So strong winds, heavy rainfall. A lot of areas across the 10-11 region has seen a lot of rainfall over the last several hours and earlier this morning from this system moving through the area. So heavy rain, thunder, lightning, damaging winds, and we do have that threat for some small hail, quarter to penny-sized hail. We take a wider look. I had mentioned heavy rainfall across much of the 10-11 region as it started up in northwestern Nebraska and darted to the east, southeast over the last several hours. Here in Lincoln, this is what we're looking at, our sky view. And over the last couple minutes, last time I've shown this, the skies are getting darker as more of this is moving into the Lincoln-Lancaster County area. In Lincoln, haven't started quite seeing the heavier rain and all that much lightning. However, as the Boeing segment to our south, seeing much more lightning as well as the heavier rainfall already occurring in the area. That includes Beatrice, Firth. New in for our severe thunderstorm warning for Cass, Gage, Jefferson, Johnson, Lancaster, Otoe, Saline, Pawnee, and Seward is the 70 mile per hour winds are still observed, but hail is around penny size. So just slightly under an inch, 0.88 inches, which is around penny size. So we are seeing dark skies off into our western horizon as we are looking in the direction that the storms are coming from. So shortly, I'm sure we'll start to hear a lot more thunder and see a lot more lightning as well as we continue over the next couple of minutes. So we'll check in with this over the next few minutes. Wind speeds still remain the same here in Lincoln. Sustained winds around 17 miles per hour. Still seeing around 20 to 25 mile per hour wind speeds back towards the Tri-Cities. And our wind gusts have picked up to 28 miles per hour in the capital city right now. Still seeing 68 mile per hour wind gusts in Beatrice. And still seeing 30 to 40 miles per hour wind gusts on the back end of this system too. I'd mentioned the heavy rainfall this could bring to some areas. And we have seen, as this has moved across much of the state from the northwest to the southeast, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to just under 2 inches of rainfall from our ASAW stations around the state. So locally heavier amounts are possible and look like they have occurred, as we are seeing some more orangey areas in portions of south central and central areas of the state. But York has already seen over 1.5 inches of rainfall, just under 2 inches, and Ord, and I suspect also as we head through the next 30 minutes or so, this will update as we get updates about once an hour for this precipitation totals from the most likely airports and municipal airports across the state. We also have seen an update for our Storm Prediction Center outlook. Marginal risk for much of the area, however, did see that slight and enhanced risk added for portions of southeastern Nebraska, and that is due to that complex of systems moving through the area. I will mention that while this is our threats for this morning are primarily those damaging winds, heavy rainfall, and then a secondary threat of hail, because we haven't seen many reports of hail this morning, have seen those reports of 70, 68 mile per hour wind gusts. We have had a tornado warning this morning for portions of Fillmore, Jefferson County. And when we see kind of these line bowing segments, we can start to see a little bit of rotation along that line. So we could get some spin ups. I wouldn't rule out any spin ups for southeastern Nebraska as we head through the morning hours as well. So that's something we're going to continue to monitor over the next few hours as this system continues to push through the area. Once again, we are breaking into regular scheduled programming due to the complex of storms moving through much of eastern Nebraska, slowly moving out of central areas, but a little bit of back building occurring out towards Custer County, moving into and still hanging out, I should say, in the Tri-Cities area. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for the southern half of that line of storms that has already been issued. And we just got another new warning too, so we will go through that when I get the latest information. It is printing off right now. So, if we take a closer look here, we have the one that we've been talking about over the last 30 minutes or so, the severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Lincoln, the city of Lincoln, as well as Gage, Lancaster, Johnson, Saline, Oto, Pawnee, Cass counties. That goes until 9 o'clock this morning for penny-sized hail, as well as 70 mile per hour observed winds. So we are seeing the observed winds at this time. Lots of heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, lots of thunder. Our two newest severe thunderstorm warnings at this time is for northern Kansas. And it looks like we have a new report. So before I get to our two new warnings, I do want to touch on this new report that we have from 3 miles southeast of Dorchester. That is in Saline County. Reports thunderstorm wind gust of 81 miles per hour from a personal weather station. So just to reiterate, we are seeing very strong winds with this complex of storms moving through southeastern Nebraska. Okay, as we move on to the two new warnings. Let's see here. This is 4. Okay. This includes portions of southeastern Lancaster County, Johnson County, Nemaha County, Odo County, Richardson County, Pawnee County, portions of Gage, and then portions of Cass County. This warning is a continuation of the current warning that we have that goes until 9 a.m. for portions of Lancaster, Gage County. That will, as the storm continues to move to the east, this is just a continuation for the warnings as it continues to move. So this goes until 9:15 this morning. It says a severe thunderstorms with a history of strong wind gusts located along a line extending from 3 miles northwest of Douglas to 4 miles south of Sterling to 2 miles east of Liberty. This is moving east at 55 miles per hour. So it looks like it is starting to get a little bit quicker, I would say. Still seeing that 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail are the hazards with this storm. Okay. The wind threat is still observed. I will say that as well, because we have seen now about 68-mile-per-hour reports, as well as now 81-mile-per-hour wind gust reports. So this is giving us damaging winds for southeastern Nebraska. The next warning is off to northern Kansas. Let's see if I could get a closer look at this now. I will pull this up. There we go. This is for portions of Nemaha in northeastern Kansas, Washington, and Marshall counties. This is on the southern half of this kind of line of rain and storm. So this is moving east-southeast at 45 miles per hour for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. This continues until 9:15. We also have a new report from Beatrice, as trained spotters have reports of thunderstorm wind damage with multiple large trees down in Beatrice. So we are seeing reports of this wind damage, as well as the damaging winds between 68 to 81 miles per hour we have seen reports for with this complex of storms. Still seeing lots of lightning, maybe a little bit of bowing occurring as we see the stronger part of this storm with the yellow and red on the radar, stretching back from towards Seward down to the Odell area, down into, actually I should say, portions of northern Kansas. So we will continue to see this move at around 35, I should say. Actually, I should say 45 miles per hour to 55 miles per hour. So it is picking up speed a little bit. We take a closer look at the heavy rainfall without the lightning, because the lightning can be a little bit distracting when we've got a lot going on. So if we take a look without the lightning, seeing the back half out towards Seward, the heavier rain down to the Odell area, looks like Firth and portions of southern Lancaster County. Seeing more of the whites, or I should say light pinks, that is where we are seeing pockets of the heavier rainfall. Right now, for the Lincoln area, the capital city, not seeing all that heavy rain occurring right now. We are still seeing some rain. I'm seeing some dark skies. If I could get us to the Lincoln sky view. Still seeing some dark skies, lots of cloud cover in the area. I haven't seen much lightning on our sky view as well, because not only is it on the graphic, but also it is over my computer that I am looking at. But we are still seeing that dark skies, maybe a little bit of light rain out there as well. And as for our wind speeds, we mentioned those sustained wind speeds were stronger towards the back half of that system. That's changing as we are seeing sustained winds start to pick up to 20 miles per hour, 22 miles per hour in the capital city, 33 miles per hour in Beatrice. As for our wind gusts, picked up to 30 to 40 miles per hour in portions of southeastern Nebraska. We did previously, as I had mentioned, in Saline County, have a thunderstorm wind gust of 81 miles per hour. So very damaging winds possible with this complex of storms. We also are seeing very heavy rainfall as this moves through much of the 10-11 region, brought anything between a quarter to just under 2 inches of rainfall, mainly along a swath from the northwest into portions of south central Nebraska, looking like at this time, but this updates around every hour. So we haven't seen this update for what has been going through portions of southeastern Nebraska in the last 45 minutes or so. So still seeing over 1.5 inches of rain in York, just under 1 inch in the Tri-Cities area, just under 2 inches in Ord. So locally heavier amounts are possible, as I am seeing much of the yellow swath. There is some darker colors in there. So that indicates to me that locally we are seeing heavier rainfall in local areas. So just because this is showing from our ASOS stations around the state, usually it pulls from a local airport. So that's where we're getting this information from. For the capital city, ours comes from the Lincoln Airport. Severe outlook for today, mainly through the morning, has been updated to a slight to enhanced risk. Main threats for southeastern Nebraska are going to be those damaging winds, heavy rainfall. More of a secondary threat will be that hail, as we haven't really seen many reports of hail. But I will say that with these sort of lined bowing clusters of storms that we're seeing, it's possible to get a spin-up tornado. So I will not rule out the chance for a tornado as we head through the morning and into the early afternoon hours. We already had a tornado warning for portions of Jefferson and Fillmore counties about an hour and a half ago. So it is possible as we head through the morning and into the afternoon. Our wider picture of our satellite and radar still continues to show that cluster complex of storms and more of a line of storms with a bowing shape occurring in portions of southeastern Nebraska. That is where we are seeing the severe thunderstorm warnings for. Taking a closer look, severe thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock. So we've got about 15 more minutes with this severe thunderstorm warning for Gage, Jefferson, Lancaster. This includes the city of Lincoln, Saline, as well as Otoe, Pawnee, Gage, and Cass counties. Looks like we have a new report, too, coming out of Lewiston, 4 miles east of Lewiston. And then that is in Pawnee County. The train spotter reports thunderstorm wind gust of 67 miles per hour. So we are still seeing those damaging winds we have seen between 65 miles per hour, give or take a few miles per hour. We have seen earlier this morning wind gusts of 65 and more recently between 68 to even 81 miles per hour. So we are seeing damaging winds with this complex of storms moving through the area. We also could see the threat for small hail, penny-sized hail with this. Lots of heavy rainfall, and still looking like the heaviest rainfall is moving out of the Gage County area, and still seeing for the capital city, not much of that heavy rainfall yet. We have seen the complex of the heavy rainfall sink more south, so it is looking like most of it has missed us. However, we are still seeing that heavy rainfall kind of traveling along that I-80 corridor. So we will continue to see the threat for heavy rainfall, lightning, those damaging winds continue until 9 o'clock this morning. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is a continuation of this storm. As we see, I want to explain a little bit more about this complex that's occurring. When we have bowing segments that kind of, if you think of a bow and arrow, it's curved at the front, kind of like an arc. That's what we're seeing, kind of stretching back from the Seward. I wonder if I can pull up my little pointer finger. Okay, so we see this bowing of the heavier rainfall stretching down from the Seward area down back towards Odell, Beatrice. So, with that is when we usually see more of a damaging wind threat. And that is what has been occurring over this morning. So, let's talk about our new warning that has just been issued as a continuation of the storm as it continues to move to the east. So, this is for Johnson County, Nemaha County, Otoe County, northwestern Richardson County, northeastern Pawnee County. This continues until 9:30 this morning. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending 2 miles south of Syracuse to near Tecumseh, moving east at 50 miles per hour. These are destructive storms for Johnson, Nemaha, Otoe, and northern Pawnee and Richardson counties. This is 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts as the hazard, which has been observed. Excuse me, it is radar indicated. We've got a little bit of contradiction here between the two that I'm reading. I am sorry, this is radar indicated winds. So 80-mile-per-hour radar indicated winds, which we have already seen 30 minutes ago or so, a report of 81 miles per hour. So this is, while this has not been observed over the last 30, 45 minutes or so, this storm is still capable of producing 80-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. So let's take a look here. I do want to point out that in this National Weather Service warning, people attending the Otoe County Fair should seek safe shelter immediately. So if you're at the Otoe County Fair, please make sure you are getting into a safe building, as we are going to be seeing destructive winds. So if we have wind gusts of 80 miles per hour and it gets under tents, a tent is not quite the best place to take shelter. That's going to be in an actual building. So I just want to point that out too. If you are at the Otoe County Fair, please go into a structural building and seek shelter in there, because we do have that damaging wind threat of 80 miles per hour winds as well as penny-sized hail. Checking to see if we've got any other recent information. And okay. So, still seeing that heavier band of rain and storms back towards the Seward area into southern portions of Lancaster County. Kind of the tip of the heavier rainfall on the northern side is along and south of the I-80 corridor at this time. Then have more of a bowing segment occurring from the Seward down to Firth, stretching into portions of Beatrice as well as Odell as this continues to move to the east at around 50 miles per hour. So heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, that wind threat, as well as small hail possible with this. So we continue for about 9 more minutes for the severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Cascades, Johnson, Lancaster, Otoe, Pawnee, Saline, and Seward counties until 9 a.m. This damage threat, the thunderstorm damage threat, is considerable with observed wind gusts of 70 mile per hour and 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and then small penny-sized hail. We do have those few other warnings for portions of northern Kansas. Let's see if we can get that on there too. For Marshall, Nemaha, Washington counties, and that's going to continue to 9:15 for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. This portion of the storm is moving east-southeast at around 45 miles per hour. This is on the southern half of the line of storms that we are seeing moving through southeastern Nebraska. Then we have the continuation of these two severe thunderstorm warning areas. I will say that the National Weather Service, if you are looking at this a little bit confused as we have a warning inside a warning, The National Weather Service has indicated that they put a smaller warning area, which is the warning area that includes portions of Johnson, Nemaha, and Oto. If I get my little pointer finger out here. This portion, that is for where they are seeing the potential for that enhanced gusts up to 80 miles per hour. If we do look, this is where we are starting to see, just on the fringe, just east of the Adams area, that heavier rainfall and that strongest, in quotes, strongest, where we are seeing the most bowing occurring from this system. And then we have the larger severe thunderstorm warning that includes Cass, Johnson, Nemaha, Oto, and that is for the actual line of storms where we are seeing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts potential, and then penny-sized hail as well. So that smaller warning inside of the bigger warning is for that 80-mile-per-hour wind gust potential and threat. And I want to go back to the Oto County Fair. Please make sure if you are there, you're out on the fairgrounds, get into a structural building. If we have wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour, which we have seen confirmed gusts between 65 and 80 miles per hour over the last couple of hours, a tent is not the best place to be. Please make sure you are getting inside to a structural building to take shelter from the storm that is heading that way. I do want to take a look at our Lincoln Skyview now, as we are still seeing some light rain, but we also are starting to see on our horizon the storm moving through the area. We can also see off to what will be your right on the screen, a little bit of rain shaft activity, which is, if we look out towards the Capitol, to the right side of the screen, right side of the screen, or what would be, yes, if you're looking at it, but we are looking to the west from our sky view. So seeing that dark cloud activity, I did see some lightning as well, and we haven't really seen the bulk of the heavy rainfall here in the capital city right now. I did mention that kind of along the I-80 corridor, along its south, is where we've been seeing that heavier rainfall, lighter rainfall here in the capital city at this time.